Hello Everybunny, my name is Sunny Rabbit, and in case you couldn't tell, it's finally time to talk about Sparkpelt. Finally. Initially I got a request to talk about both Sparkpelt and Alderheart together, but seeing as Alderheart was a protagonist, I felt like it was more appropriate to speak about them separately. With how sparse her wiki page is, don't look at the timestamp, Alderheart would overshadow her, so Sparky P gets her own dedicated video. This will be Sunny Rabbit's certified Sparkpelt compilation of almost every time she's on screen doing something notable. Sparkpelt is the daughter of Bramblestar and Squirrelflight. Born after Bramblestar's storm, she was apprenticed in the first book of A Vision of Shadows alongside her brother, Alderpaw. The first difference that becomes apparent between Sparkpelt and her brother is that she's self-assured and eager to learn, giving an excited bounce to the cheering of her apprentice name when Alderheart is content to just give himself embarrassed licks. Sparkpelt is way more expressive, assertive, and talkative than her brother. It's also noted quite a lot that she's a great hunter and a quick learner. When the quest to find SkyClan is announced, she doesn't hesitate to volunteer. Alderpaw asks if she can join after Bramblestar and Squirrelflight show some hesitation. With that, she tags along on the quest to find SkyClan. Her relationship with her brother is really strong in the first book. From Alderpaw's perspective, he leans on her like a furry little emotional support rock. It's adorable. During the journey to the gorge, she scoffs at the danger of the thunder paths and argues about when the group should hunt. She overtakes Alderpaw's authority before Sandstorm asserts that the apprentice Medicine Cat is the one whom they should be following. Initially, she shows a bit of defiance towards Sandstorm, but Sparkpaw shows that she has a strong sense of justice. She confronts Darktail about the fresh kill free-for-all, standing up for the weaker members of the imposter SkyClan. When she can't make Darktail budge on feeding the clan by the rules of the Warrior Code, she's the first to suggest leaving the gorge. The little band of warriors decides it's for the best and makes a tactical retreat back to the other 4 clans. Before they actually do, she has second thoughts about the idea, wondering if leaving is a good plan when StarClan sent them on the quest, and they still haven't found the real SkyClan. This contrasts with when they finally leave. She has no second thoughts about making sure the tree trunk to cross the river is safe, so their mission ultimately ended up a failure since Darktail had already exiled SkyClan from the gorge, and no actual SkyClan members remained in the territory. Later, in Thunder and Shadow, Sparkpaw saves Twigkit from drowning when the kit was trying to find watermen for Alderpaw. Cherryfall then says it's time for her warrior assessment, which she passes, earning the name Sparkpelt. She's only in this book a few times actually. The next big event we see her at is her first gathering as a warrior. She believes the rogues that live on the Shadow Clan border could never be real clan cats. In Shattered Sky, Sparkpelt is part of the patrol to rescue the River Clan cats from the kin, and that's about it. I do find it endearing that after Sparkpelt gets her warrior name, she still hangs around with Cherryfall. There are several occasions in the A Vision of Shadows arc where they're mentioned together or put in the same patrols. It's cute that a warrior and their apprentice are still close even after the mentorship phase is over. Darkest Night is where she seems to get a personality change, but it's way deeper than it seems. The change in attitude is something that Twigpaw notices, thinking that Sparkpelt is in a sourer mood than usual. This is after the showdown with the kin in the last book. ThunderClan is overcrowded with the other clan's injured members who can't be moved just yet. It's understandable that she would be eager to have the River Clan warriors out of the hollow. At that point, so many cats had been crammed into ThunderClan, everyone was getting irritable at the lack of personal space. Tensions arise when the big issue starts being discussed. Where the heck is SkyClan supposed to stay? Alderheart is a staunch supporter of SkyClan staying at the lake. They are a clan just like the other 4. Sparkpelt, even though she went on the journey, is more opposed to the change. As Leafpool says, finding is not the same as keeping. There are moments in the past where Sparkpelt showed wariness or hostility towards the other clans, so this change isn't out of nowhere. She definitely categorizes SkyClan as other. Where the other 4 clans were real, SkyClan doesn't belong at the lake because it wasn't their home originally. Sparkpelt lays it out that her experience with Darktail and the kin has shaped her view in what she considers to be strange cats. Part of her reasoning is that StarClan didn't tell them exactly what to do with SkyClan after they had been restored again. StarClan said to find them, they found them, so now they can go home. This whole situation could have been solved with an email, really. At the gathering, Sparkpelt speaks up against letting SkyClan stay in front of everyone. Now that the kin is removed from the gorge, the freeloaders need to pack up their stuff and get out. Only cool clans are allowed, not these fake modern day clans. Sparkpelt really hates Leafstar's OC clan. They already have a Wind clan at home, they don't need a SkyClan. Book 4 is also where she first shows interest in Larksong, no not that one. It's just some mild flirting. Sparkpelt's lack of appearances in the last few books become an issue with her relationship with her brother. Alderheart and Sparkpelt were really close in book 1. After Alderheart returned from the gorge, Sparkpelt hadn't left his side in days. After Sparkpelt began to spend more and more time with Larksong, Alderheart began to feel like his sister didn't notice him or his problems. She gets so distracted in her Larksong love story that she misses that her brother has stronger feelings about SkyClan staying at the lake. The siblings agree to disagree about SkyClan, and she apologizes for getting so wrapped up in Lark's song. Something I noticed is that the first time she genuinely seems worried about herself is when she asks her brother if he thinks Lark's song likes her. That's cute. At the gathering at the end of the book, she's outright hostile towards SkyClan when Rowanstar gives ShadowClan's territory up in exchange for refuge. When Leafstar accepts, Sparkpelt accuses SkyClan of claiming more territory, stating that they never should have come to the lake. By the next book, she really gets more hardened in her dislike of SkyClan, being unfriendly towards Twigpaw and Friendpaw now that SkyClan and ThunderClan are neighbors. It's notable that she feels suspicious towards Twigpaw, someone who was a ThunderClan member for most of her life. Bramblestar gives Twigpaw to Sparkpelt to train to be a warrior. Twigpaw thinks it's a way to test Sparkpelt. At that point, Sparkpelt was probably the most outspoken about disapproving of the SkyClan cats. Sparkpelt is a firm believer in stranger danger, good for her. Sparkpelt insists on training Twigpaw with Larksong and his apprentice Finpaw, who is still doing basic training. We aren't able to get into Sparkpelt's head, but it probably has to do with how close she's gotten to Larksong in the last few months. She trains Twigpaw at Finpaw's level, which is frustrating for the both of them. It affects Twigpaw's training, and Bramblestar has to speak with Sparkpelt about not wasting both the mentor and apprentice's abilities with basic training. The next gathering she's at is when RiverClan returns. Instead of being relieved that RiverClan is back amongst the rest of the clans, she's upset that they had left in the first place. This gathering is after the fire in RiverClan. Here, Misty Star announces that her clan's borders will no longer be closed. Sparkpelt is skeptical about that, not believing that Misty Star is being truthful when she says that she'd already decided to rejoin the other clans before the fire happened. Sparkpelt is also anti-Kitty Pet when Ajax comes looking for Velvet and Fuzzball. At the end of the book, Dovewing comes back. Sparkpelt calls her a traitor for going to Shadow Clan. So we see a change in Sparkpelt's relationship with the other clans over time. At first it was the generic ThunderClan is the best before evolving into hostility towards the other clans. It makes sense that she was skeptical towards the real SkyClan moving in before it changed into something deeper than that. She rarely appears in book 6, but still does want SkyClan to leave. Leafstar and SkyClan make a hasty retreat so they can rewrite their OC backstories. Apparently Juniperclaw didn't like that they were playing Warrior Cats wrong. That's all the major appearances Sparkpelt has in the A Vision of Shadows series. Towards the later books, she doesn't get too much to do. She did become the largest voice in ThunderClan for SkyClan to leave. We get to see how her relationship with her brother develops during the events of A Vision of Shadows. They still love each other, though Arlerheart and Sparkpelt aren't as close as they used to be. The mother-daughter relationship between her and Squirrelflight is focused on in Squirrelflight's hope. Hooray! Sparkpelt puts a lot of trust in her mother, lying to Bramblestar about Squirrelflight's whereabouts when she goes off with Leafstar. She says that eventually she'll have to tell Bramblestar what's happening if Squirrelflight doesn't return soon. Wouldn't you know it, Squirrelflight and Leafstar get captured by the sisters. After Squirrelflight is returned to the clans, Sparkpelt announces that she's expecting Larksongs, no not that one, babies. Wait, let me check something. Huh, would you look at that, they're distantly related. On a patrol, they find that the sisters had been injured in an attack by Shadow Clan. Sparkpelt tells her mother that she shouldn't bring the sisters to camp as her father would be opposed to the idea. When Bramblestar comes back, Sparkpelt defends Squirrelflight's decision to bring an injured and bleeding Sunrise to the camp. Considering that she was literally dying, it was probably a good call. Sparkpelt insists on joining Squirrelflight when Bramblestar wants to talk about why the patrol brought the sisters back to bleed all over the floor. Her parents begin fighting. The stress causes cramps in her belly. Squirrelflight comforts her daughter by telling about her own experiences with pregnancy. Also, Sparkpelt is the older sibling, fun fact. Squirrelflight is a bit jealous of Sparkpelt being pregnant, but lets consoling her daughter be her main priority. This whole book, Sparkpelt is pretty inseparable from Larksong. She's really loving towards her mate, which makes it all the more sadder when he gets sick. After eating some tainted prey, Larksong collapses. Hot off the heels of A Vision of Shadows, Sparkpelt suspects that Shadow Clan poisoned the fresh kill pile when they visited earlier, placing the blame on Bramblestar for making enemies with Tigerstar too, while she was lashing out with grief. Sparkpelt lashes out at Squirrelflight when she comes to Bramblestar's defense. Clearly she's been frustrated with her parents arguing. Larksong's sickness was just a vehicle for her to vent it without a filter. Sparkpelt stays in the medicine den with her mate, but eventually she gets the sickness as well. The patrol comes back with the herbs to cure the illness, but it's too late to save Larksong. Even when she's weakened and sick from the sickness, she tries to comfort her mate in his last moments. Sparkpelt begins to kit early. Larksong dies shortly after all 3 kits are delivered. The last kit was stillborn. Sparkpelt stands vigil for her mate and kit. She has hardly been with the other 2 survivors of the litter. She grieves for Larksong and Flicker Kit, not wanting the grief to pass, and doesn't want to think of names for her kits. She's numb to everything that's going on around her, though Squirrelflight finally convinces her to feed Finch Kit and Flame Kit. The task had initially been left to Sorrelstripe. There's a large chunk of the book where she gets mentioned but doesn't appear. Usually it's Squirrelflight thinking about her and her new kits, Sparkpelt's relationship with her kits, what Sparkpelt's relationship with her kits will be like in the future, how Sparkpelt is dealing with grief, how much Sparkpelt needs her. Mom things. About a month after she's interacting with her kits, and by interacting I mean just feeding, like the bare minimum. I wouldn't call it an actual bond. Stormcloud attempts to get her to become part of clan life again, but she's rather detached to anything that's happening around the camp. A pep talk with Squirrelflight perks her up again. Hearing that Larksong is doing fine in StarClan with Flicker Kit raises her spirits. Squirrelflight thinks that her daughter will be okay, and that brings an end to Sparkpelt's role in Squirrelflight's hope. There's only a handful of appearances in the Broken Code. She encourages her mother to go to the moon pool and receive her 9 lives when Bramblestar dies. She mourns Bramblebutt when he has a fake-out death. Mostly she's just seen with her kids in the nursery. In Book 2, Bristlefrost tells fake Bramble about Sparkpelt wandering off while hunting. This angers Bramble and Sparkpelt has to defend herself. This wouldn't be the first time that she stood up to her father, even if she didn't know it was really Ashfur the whole time. She still has no issue questioning warriors with more experience than her. She admits that she went to look for Lion Blaze. Initially she stands her ground, but the fear of banishment and separation from her kits leads her to taking a lighter punishment in the form of collecting catmint at the abandoned Two-Leg house. Sparkpelt is then attacked by dogs that had been lured to the house. Luckily she wasn't terribly hurt and was able to make a full recovery. Most of the time she's mentioned in the 3rd book, it's just to refer to how she was attacked by the dog, and then when she finally does show up, it's just so she can be exiled. She snaps at Flipclaw, who had been the designated medicine cat since Alderheart and Jayfeather had been put into exile. She apologizes to Flipclaw, then goes to suggest to Bramblestar that they need a real medicine cat, offering to go find Jayfeather or Alderheart. Bramblestar takes the opportunity to banish Sparkpelt from the clan for questioning the word of the leader. Finchpaw leaves with Graystripe, Bumblestripe, Blossomfall, and her mentor Cinderheart. They all join the other exiled cats. Sparkpelt's other kit, Flamepaw, stays behind in ThunderClan. Sparkpelt is only mentioned in passing in Book 4 during the argument about the new ThunderClan deputy position. That's it. The cliffhanger of Book 4 features Squirrelflight being abducted to hell by Ashfur. In Book 5, a few warriors believe she might have left with him. Sparkpelt defends Squirrelflight's honor by saying she would never run away to help Ashfur, which ended up being correct. She wants to come on the patrol to help confront Tigerstar 2 about what exactly happened with Shadowsight and Ashfur. When Rootspring explains what he saw at the moon pool, Sparkpelt immediately believes that Squirrelflight had been abducted. Sparkpelt is worried about her mother's safety when the cats begin to plan how they'll get the ThunderClan deputy back. Shadowsight offers to go but receives pushback. Sparkpelt says that someone who cares about Squirrelflight should be the one to retrieve her. He shoots this idea down as the relationship with her could be exploited by Ashfur. Graystripe finally comes back to ThunderClan after his Vows DLC. Sparkpelt stays behind to look after the clan when he tells her to. That's her last appearance in the Broken Code, as she's only mentioned in passing in the last book. We have finally made it to a starless clan. One of the protagonists in this arc is her son Flamepaw, now called Nightheart. There's this awkward tension between Flamepaw and Sparkpelt. Flamepaw feels like he doesn't know her that well after her depression and exile left her unable to raise him. WindClan takes some prey from ThunderClan. Squirrelflight, Squirrelflight Jr., and Larksong 2 go on a patrol to talk to Hairstar. Sparkpelt takes the earliest opportunity to discuss what's going on with Bramblestar. She's noticed that there's been a change in his leadership style. He's not as forceful as he once was. She seems worried about her father since he's been acting differently after the events of the Broken Code and, well, gestures broadly. We still see that Squirrelflight and her daughter have a close enough relationship where they can still confide in each other. When Squirrelflight brings up the idea that Sparkpelt could lend a helping hand to Flamepaw, she doesn't give any pushback when Flamepaw says it's his mentor's job to teach him. He interprets it as her being glad to have an excuse not to spend time with him. I'm not sure if I'd say that's Sparkpelt's personal feelings on the matter. Flamepaw isn't what I'd call an unreliable narrator, but his only 2 options for why she didn't want to help is that maybe because 1. He was rude to her, and B. She didn't care whether or not he became a warrior. Sparkpelt loves her family, so I doubt she wants to intentionally avoid him. Not at this point in time anyway. Flamepaw is clearly bothered by his relationship with his mother. He's troubled. She could just be taking the opportunity to give him the space that he wants. Or maybe she thinks he doesn't want to spend time with her. We don't know what's going on in her head since she's not a POV character. We can just make inferences based on her decisions and her past experiences. Flamepaw hasn't seen this video, so we can forgive him for not understanding his mother's complex character arc. I'm handing out I'm a Sparkpelt expert AMA buttons at the end of this for the 6 Sparkpelt fans out there. After the WindClan excursion, Flameo Hotman passes his Warrior Cat's assessment. Sparky Boomman is excited when she hears the news. She attributes it to being a descendant of Firestar making him a great hunter. Flamepaw finds that infuriating. He failed 2 assessments and had to do extra practice to complete the 3rd one. Her attributing it to Firestar takes away a lot of agency Flamepaw had in overcoming this specific hurdle. Her son wants to change his name to something more specific to him during his ceremony, and Sparkpelt doesn't take that too well. Angered by the decision, in the next book, she doesn't want to spend time with him. Later, Nightheart notes that Sparkpelt and his sister still refuse to eat with him after the argument at the beginning of Sky. That's where we are currently in the books. A Vision of Shadow seems to have the bulk of her appearances, with it tapering off in subsequent arcs. I'm briefly going to talk about the revealed cover and blurb for books 3 and 4 of the A Starless Clan arc. If you don't want potential spoilers, skip to this timestamp. Sparkpelt is probably going to be a larger player in this current arc. I don't think her character arc is over yet given the relationship she has with Nightheart. Finchlight and Sparkpelt are both featured on the cover for Book 4, Thunder. The blurb doesn't give much insight into the potential story going forward. As of writing this video, there isn't a special excerpt for the first few chapters of Shadow, so there's nothing to pull from there just yet. She's standing next to Sunbeam, so maybe she'll tie into the Shadow Clan River Clan plot in some way. The blurb mentions tensions in Shadow Clan and River Clan, so seeing as Sunbeam is our Shadow Clan POV, she might be covering what's happening in River Clan too. Frostpaw doesn't seem to be in River Clan at the moment, and the vagueness around a younger warrior, the use of the pronoun he, implies that Nightheart is probably going to be going with her, as he isn't mentioned by name. This wouldn't be the first time, as Shadow's blurb just refers to him as Shadow Clan's new arrival. If Sparkpelt is on the cover and Nightheart potentially not with her, there might be more to her growing as a character without being tied to Nightheart's plotline. So that was a lot of books to cover. Let's wrap up this video with talking specifically about her character as it's evolved over the course of the series. As Sparkpelt has matured, she hasn't lost her fiery nature, only really being shy when thinking about Larksong and backing down when threatened by Bramble Ash Starfur. Her relationship with her brother has always been strong, two sides of the same coin. At this point, there's probably nothing that could break their relationship. Sparkpelt is doubtful or distrusting of others more than she is in her own abilities. There are times where she seems wary or worried about outcomes when it comes to other cats, but almost never about herself. Since the beginning, she's always been self-assured almost to a fault. She shows confidence and bravery, while exhibiting stubbornness when she feels like she's in the right. Sparkpelt never hesitates, she just does, for better or worse. Over the course of A Vision of Shadows, she shows aggression at first towards the rogues, then SkyClan before it goes into a misgiving for all the other clans. It comes as a shock to both Twigbranch and Alderheart that she doesn't support SkyClan joining the clans at the lake. This aspect of her personality has mostly subsided as her appearances in the later books become more spread out, with a couple having only passing mentions of her. In Squirrelflight's Hope, she sticks up for her mother when Bramblestar is being unreasonable during the situation with the sisters. Sparkpelt does care for Bramblestar, but they're never really shown interacting on screen. During the Super Edition, she's dealing with postpartum depression and the loss of her mate and a stillborn kit. Hearing that Larksong and Flicker Kit are chilling in ScarClan gives her a new resolve to spend time with the surviving kits, though the time apart has affected her relationship with Nightheart as he doesn't feel as close as he should with his mother. In the newest arc, she cares a lot about her heritage in relation to Firestar. She clearly prides herself on being ThunderClan, so caring about being related to Firestar might be related to that. I mean, we've already seen her double down on her dislike of the other clans. She clearly loves her family. That's always been consistent throughout the books. After rereading and going through her history, I am more empathetic to how frustrating it might be that Nightheart isn't that interested in keeping the flame part of his name. She does have appearances in the novellas Daisy's Kin and Spotfur's Rebellion, but nothing noteworthy other than having a good relationship with Daisy. Spotfur's Rebellion is just more of the same. Every time someone mentions her, it's just how Bramble Knotstar tried to do her in with some doggos. I don't think her character arc is complete, however. It seems like there's something in store for her in Book 3 and 4. Fingers crossed it's not that she dies so Nightheart can get some character development. When she does die, it will be a bittersweet moment when she finally reunites with Larksong and Flicker Kit. Their loss is pretty integral to how her relationship with Nightheart has been shaped. That's all I have to say about Sparkpelt, I swear. I hope this video did Sparkpelt some justice as she's more or less faded into the background with recent books. Lots of cats think about Sparkpelt and their relationship with her, but she hasn't done anything big recently. Going into this video, my only notes were that she's Firestar's grandchild, who is kind of racist. She's courageous, loyal, and loves her family, so maybe she'll get something cool to do in Book 3 and 4. That doesn't involve dying, mind you. I'm gonna be the first to put out the theory that she gets to be the new River Clan leader. Sparkstar, get hype!
There's nothing in the world more powerful than a good story. And who has a better story than Bran the Broken?
Oh, here are your buttons, by the way. Congrats on making it through the video.